So I'm on my way up to the deer camp to see if I cannot correct a mistake I made on opening day. For those of y'all who've been in the deer woods before, that mistake is do not let walk on opening day something that you would take on the last day of the season if you haven't gotten anything else. I passed on killing a doe opening morning on account of I determined she was too small to take, and we have some stupid ass dogs coming through the neighboring property. They kind of chased her around, and then the dogs were never in range for me to kill one of them. And by the time I got my pistol out, the whole thing was done. And never saw her again the next day. Haven't been in the woods again since. It's now, as I'm recording this, 3 a.m. and I'm heading up to my hunting property now for opening morning of gun season. General gun. To which I am toting a 12 gauge for the first time ever for deer. I've used a 12 gauge before with turkey, and reason for that was I ended up agitating an old shoulder injury and not being able to sight in my 30-06, thinking that my shoulder wouldn't be able to bear the recoil. So running with the 12 gauge, and hopefully something makes the mistake of getting within 30 to 40 yards of me again. Get some of them double-aught pellets in the old power plant. But I don't know what'll happen. My buddy offered to, he said, bring the .06 up anyway, and we'll sight it in, after the morning session. And I really don't, I would have gone with that, but I was goofing around at work on Friday and ended up, whatever healing my shoulder had done, ended up fucking up again. I think, because I ran into this before a while back when I originally switched over to crossbow, I think there may be something seriously wrong with my shoulder, and then the muscles heal up around it. And I had a good year or two, almost to the point of, backwoods, you brought up Tex Grebner and the Bushcraft, almost to the point to where we were leaning towards getting back into genuine archery, even taking a traditional route. But I think I'm feeling like, if you ever seen Talladega Nights, I feel like Ricky Bobby, yeah, I think it's time I face facts. Just not gonna be bow hunting anymore. Ironically, when I was younger, because one of my original gun trainers, he was a freak for the 44 Magnum, and he had ended up shooting a 44 Magnum so much that he had done some sort of a strange injury to his shoulder. And based on that, I had always leaned towards using 9mm pistols, 357 Magnum, not 44 Magnum. And for the longest time, I used I was shooting that 30-30 as it was soft shooting compared to the 30-06. Now I can't use the 30-30 on general principles, but after my debacle with the 357 that one night, only recovering a portion of the deer that I killed that night, going with only genuine rifle calibers, and then the 30-06, which is I'm not going to say it's a stout shooting rifle, but it's a stout shooting rifle with a synthetic stock. It's very lightweight, so As a result, it's easy to tote around in the woods, but when that thing goes off, it packs a wallop. Funny thing about wallops, though, when you're really in your shooting sequence, and for me, when I'm really in my shooting sequence and I'm actually hunting and I take a deer with it, my ears don't ring. I don't remember the recoil. It's totally different scenario. I don't know if it's maybe the rare adrenaline dump, because it's so difficult to get those adrenaline dumps for myself anymore. But we will see. We'll do what we can to remedy that. And I'm going up, got the group going on, and I'm not going to say that I'm playing dirty pool, but the location that I'm hunting is in the way of what the location one of the youngsters is going to be at. So, in theory, whatever deer is going to come to him, the bigger ones, have to actually pass me before going to him. So, we'll see how that goes too. But, I don't know. I guess I'm all over the place. To remedy that mistake, though, I don't know. I mean, she was small, but are doe something you actually allow to grow compared to bucks? You know, are they just for breeding? You know, once they have solid genetics. But speaking of genetics, we got the one deer. He was older, maybe 5 or 6 years old, really big in the body, and had those same janky asymmetrical antlers that we've been seeing for the last couple of years. So could be that we're going to be having so much better genetics moving forward, which is a shame, because I've become, ever since I shot that big-bodied 5-pointer, big-bodied for me, big-bodied 5-pointer, I've been an absolute freak about asymmetry. You know, give me a 7-pointer over an 8-pointer, a 9-pointer over a 10-pointer. But being I'm currently in a meat crisis, and I promised half my first deer to somebody, it's pure on for this weekend for me. I'm gonna hunt hard as I can, 40 yards and in. I don't know if y'all have ever been there, letting one walk on opening day, or depending on who's watching this, like, to have a deer come within 10 yards of you and like, oh, you are not worthy of me ending your life. It's kind of a fucked up thing when you think about it. There's a Metallica song called All Nightmare Long, and it's something that with new hunters, and this weekend's truly great because we have a couple of youngsters up there, which to me is what it's all about. When we go into the woods and you're a hunter, do you factor in what's going through the mind of the deer? Are you thinking like a deer? Or are you thinking like how you think a person would be? Like thinking as yourself? Because you have to think of it like a deer does. If you've ever seen the movie Inglourious Bastards, in the very beginning, when the colonel is talking about where he's hunting down the Jews, and he says you have to think like a Jew. A German is a hawk, so he's going to think like a hawk, but you need to think like the prey thinks. And to me, once you appreciate the nightmare that a deer lives by going into these woods, I believe it opens up the possibilities and the understanding and the patience for how cautious they are, the approaches they take, where they may go, where you land in the whole scenario when you are ambush tree stand hunting. Too often I see people, they get there's two fevers I see mainly in new people and people that are a little on the green side. You get one thing, because we're allowed to bait down here, you get corn fever, okay, where you put down a pile of corn and you think for sure, oh man, why aren't they coming? Here's my pile of corn, they're gonna come on to it. Or, you know, you've got a feeder point established, like, why aren't they coming to the feeder? I put corn in there and I deserve them to come. And the other condition is game camera fever, where, and this has become all the worse with the advent of cell phone cameras, when we're able to actually see the images in real time. Oh man, this deer's coming, this deer's coming, this deer's coming. And you're literally counting your chickens before they hatch by doing so. Especially if they're coming to a set corn pile. It just, I think in my experience and where I've had better success is knowing the animals that are in the woods absolutely know that everything wants to kill them. And if they knew then that, or if they know somehow, or if there's little cues somehow that not only is something trying to kill them, there is something now that's hyper focused in trying to kill them in a way that other things do not. You take a bear or some of your other, like a natural predator, they may harvest animal as a matter of happenstance. Say in the case of our property, if the black bear comes across a fawn that's bedded down, or if one is sick or slow or has CWD that's affecting it, that's one thing. But the hyper focus of a true apex predator, which a human hunter is about as apex predator as you're going to get down here in Florida. I mean, the panther is probably right up there, but they're good enough to where they seem to keep to themselves enough. If there's a comprehension that there's an apex predator in the area, and you factor that into their behavior, you know, that further assists to where they are. It's tricky. And it's tricky when you gotta share property with other people. But in the Metallica song, you know, it's like, we'll come to you without mercy, we'll come to you all nightmare long. There's no relief. You fuck up and you go to the easy food source and you're dead. You fuck up and you go easy, you're dead. What changed everything for me? This was maybe, oh hell, I don't know. It was either 8 or 9 years ago. And I was in there. I was getting really, really aggravated going into the woods. And this was during, say, regular season. I don't know. It would have had to have been out of archery. Because I swear, doe know when you can't hunt them down here. And this doe came well within range to me. And it was bucks only at that point. And we have all these vines and greenery and everything else in the woods. And I watched her literally eat a green leaf off of a vine, off of a tree. And for me at that point, everything clicked. Things kind of fell into place. I got it, finally. They don't have to fucking move. There's no reason for it. They don't need your fucking corn. You know? Can they come out to corn out of habit? Yeah. And then what do you get then? You know, things like in backwoods valid concerns. Are you, if it's a pile of corn, are you talking like, you know, pancreatic spikes if they get too much of, because that corn's going to turn into sugar. Who is to say? But there's enough of us this weekend running the pig trap. Got pigs coming in regularly. I do not know. But I know I'm going to be finding out here in a couple hours. As of this recording.